Hey folks, we are back in the kitchen. If it's your first time with us, welcome, and we hope you stay a while. We are going to do that cheesecake as promised. Now, this is not the easiest cheesecake to make, but it's not terrible either. And the easy ones aren't always the best ones, so you're going to want to stick around for this because it's a fantastic, I call it like a two-step cheesecake. So stick with us and we're going to make this thing. Now the first thing we did is we got our oven started warming at 350 degrees. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to make our graham cracker crust. We have 1.5 cups of graham crackers, which is one of these packages. And I smashed these up right in the package before I even dump those in there. And then you want to add 1/3 cup of sugar into that. Some recipes do not call for sugar in your graham cracker crust, but I think it's much better with the sugar. So I'm going to stir this up a little bit. And then I'm going to add our 1/2 cup, which is 1 whole stick of melted butter. Now we're going to stir this up with a fork until all of those graham crackers are moistened. So keep going until you've got everything combined very well. Now once your graham crackers are all mixed up, I switched to a spoon so when I rake this out I can get all this out, but we're going to go back to the fork also. So the pan I use is not your standard pan. I use a tart pan. And the reason I use a tart pan is the bottom comes out of it. So when you want to cut this thing, you know it is how hard it is to get in here to the sides and get a nice piece out. With this one, you just pop the whole cheesecake out and you can cut and get real nice pieces and come in from the side instead of trying to come in from the top. So I'm going to dump all of our graham cracker crust in here, and I'm going to use my fork and press it all down. Alright, we're back to our fork, and we're going to evenly distribute this around our tart pan. Now a lot of folks you'll see will get like a flat bottom measuring cup out here and smash all this down absolutely completely flat with that measuring cup. But you don't really need to do that. This crust is held together by that butter, and when the butter is melted, we mix it all together. It allows us to mix everything together, but when this butter gets cold again, it's going to hold this crust together like glue. So as long as everything's touching and you've got fairly flat in the pan, that's all you're looking for. I'm going to move a little bit more over here. Try to get it even. If you can see the bottom of the pan, you're a little bit too light. Just move it from some of the other areas that look thick. So that looks pretty good. I'll go around the edge and make sure those edges are knocked down. And that's a good looking crust right there. So let's start on the filling. All right, we put our crust in the fridge. We're letting it cool off a little bit. Now we're going to start on the filling. So in our stand mixer, we put 2 blocks, 8 ounces each, in our stand mixer with a 1/2 cup of sugar and a teaspoon of vanilla and 2 eggs. And then you want to beat that on medium speed for 2 minutes. And that's what we've done here. So we're going to get our pie crust back out, and we're going to dump all this in the crust. We've got the filling in our crust, so now we're just going to go around and take it to the outsides here. Make it even all the way around. Make sure it gets into those little divots in the tart pan. That'll help the sides form a little bit. All right, just like that, kind of evens out on its own because it's a liquid. So now we're going to put this in our 350-degree oven and we're going to bake it for 20 minutes. Now I know what some of you are thinking, oh, I don't like the baked cheesecake. I like the no-baked creamy cheesecake. But believe me, folks, this is not going to turn out to be your really dense, like New York style cheesecake, really cakey, thick, like I said, dense cheesecake. This is still going to be a very creamy, nice, light experience for you, believe me. Now while that cheesecake is in the oven, get your mixer clean because we're going to need that again. Okay, we've got the cheesecake out of the oven, but don't turn your oven off because we're not done with it. Remember, this is a two-step cheesecake. Any bubbles that form on the surface, pierce them with a toothpick and deflate them because you don't want them interfering with the next step. So we're going to let this cool on a cooling rack for 10 minutes. Our cheesecake has cooled for 10 minutes, so back to the mixer. We're going to add a cup of sour cream and a half a cup of sugar, and we're going to beat that for 30 seconds on medium speed. Now we're going to take this mixture, we're going to put it on top of our cheesecake and put it out in an even layer, kind of like we're going to put frosting on the top of this thing. Then once that's done, we're going to put it in the oven again for 5 minutes, still at 350. Now for spreading that, I've found that a small offset spatula works really well. And it's not a very thick layer, it's a thin layer. So let's get this thing in the oven. 5 minutes. 5 minutes has elapsed, so we've taken this out of the oven. We're now going to let this cool to where we can touch it with our hands and it's no longer super hot. And then it's going to go in the fridge to cool. As this cheesecake cools in the fridge, Kelly and I are going to be at dinner because I'm going to take my lovely wife out tonight. It's her Friday. She's been working hard all week and she deserves it. But don't go anywhere, folks. We're going to have dessert when we come home. Hey, we are back from dinner, and you know what time that is. It's dessert time. So look at that. Doesn't that look amazing? Now remember when I told you it's not all crazy and cakey like the New York cheesecake? Look how creamy that still is in the middle. And this is just a serving suggestion here. You can eat it plain, it's just fine. But we like a little cherries on it sometimes. So let's give this a shot. Folks, that is the most fantastic cheesecake you're ever going to make. Take my word for it. So good. Completely off the hook. So if you've never tried a cheesecake quite like this, which could be the case because it's not your average everyday cheesecake, you're really going to enjoy this. I'm telling you, you've got to try this. So I'm going to go enjoy this and savor every morsel of it. I want you guys to stay safe and stay healthy. We love you guys. Come back and see us here on Mark Ellie Farm.